Yo,
Hey, how's it going?
this Josh.
Yes, it is.
What's up, brother?
Hey, thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview.
Yeah, man. Same, dude. Same.
Well, awesome. Well, this is an interview I've wanted to do for a very long time, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be able to do it. And talking about such a great album coming out next month with War of the Worlds Part 2.
Cool, man. Yeah, dude.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I've gotten the chance to be able to check out this album over the course of this weekend, and it just it's everything that I was hoping it would be. Like the choruses are bigger and stronger. The
Mm.
orchestration is even better. The everything just feels so much stronger on part two, and it's just so incredible to see that.
No, man, I appreciate it. I mean, every time, whatever, if it's a solo thing or if it's the band, you just try to do the best you can do. Look at like the first thing and then okay, the next record, try to step it up or do something a little different. So same with this, like you said, maybe more attention to the choruses and some of the melodic content. Ooh, and orchestration and all that kind of stuff, kind of, bringing that up a notch. So yeah, I mean, every time I do something, I just try to, make a little better.
And that's the best way to be too. I mean, just like know what you want to do, being able to create the parts the best that you can, and of course getting the right people to be involved with it as well too. And you got such an incredible backing band on this album, and it's so great to see that you got someone like Dino being able to sing his heart out on this album too. I
Yeah,
mean, his voice is so great on this.
yeah. No, he did great, man. I mean, all those guys, they're all monsters. Dino, JD, Johnny Mac. Um, and we're all friends too. JD, I went to high school with him, and he lives 5 minutes away. And it's just kind of cool to have guys that you're friendly with and a good working environment. And then, yeah, I mean, usually the end product is strong too, because everybody, comes to the table and does their best.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And it's great to hear that in the final product too. And the fact that I've gotten the chance to be able to check out this album and, just like hearing all the great moments that people have yet to be able to hear. And,
Hmm.
when of course, when March 25th comes around and people are actually able to hear the whole album in context, I think they're just going to love everything that they hear.
Yeah, dude, I hope. I mean, I hope so. That's what we do. We do the best we could do. We do, being creative, we do what we feel is right. And, and for me, it's like, yeah, if I'm working on something and I'm not digging it, and I'm like, God, man, this kind of sucks, then I get rid of it, because it's like if I don't like it or if it's not doing anything for me, I can't expect anyone else to come on board. So yeah, I mean, I think, and talking about the guys, I think they all came on board. They did great. And for me, just writing and putting everything together, just trying to do the best you can do and have some fun at the same time and try some different things. I mean, with the first part, with part one, there was like even some like kind of metal dubstep and some electronic stuff. It's just like, when you're in the studio, it's, you just try to be creative and goof around a little and just try to do something that feels real, not just like churning out like some cookie cutter bullshit, just, trying to do what you love doing.
Absolutely. And that's the way to be. And I love hearing that from you too, because every time that I hear you playing something, be it Symphony X, be it these solo releases, I can always tell that the riffs that you're writing are what you want to write. And just like you said, it's just like if there are any moments, if there are any riffs or songs that just aren't working out, you can either completely toss them out or maybe keep them for another time for another release. But, just making sure that you focus on what works.
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, that's so it. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's been times I'll start working on something and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good, and let me see if I can make more of it. And then the next day I'll come down here and I'll listen. I'll be like, oh man, yeah, that kind of sucks and it's kind of not doing anything. So it's like, all right, whatever, chuck it and try something else.
Oh, definitely. And thinking about that as well too, like I'm very envious of your setup that you got going on. I love how you got everything spaced out. You got the keys right behind you. You got such a great collection of guitars and strings going on there. I mean, it's an amazing setup.
Dude, there's so much shit down here. It's stupid. It really is. It's fucking ridiculous. But no, I mean, it's all tools, It's just all tools. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of toys and silly shit. But I mean, I just like having everything around, and you never know. It's there's a song on this on the album called Destroyer, and it has that Middle Eastern kind of vibe going on. And yeah, most of the time with the orchestra or any kind of world instrument or something else, I'll reach for a synth or some kind of virtual instrument or something. And I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe let me see if I get my hands on some, different kind of instruments like a saz or an oud. I got a couple different kind of instruments, and it's like, oh, okay. It's not that you need more shit down here, but it's just kind of fun. It's like, okay, and then you get it, and it's like, all right, now I got to figure out, how to friggin' play this thing, and what's going on with the tuning and all that stuff. But yeah, a couple days of noodling around, and then you get in there with the track, and you maybe layer a little bit of it. You put a little, and just that it's real. I think that adds it too. So I mean, yeah, I just like trying to put different things in there. You never know. You never know what there might be some goofy instrument laying around. It's like I got a fucking Japanese flute over here, shakuhachi, and it's like, oh, maybe one day there'll be a track where, maybe it works, you know?
Oh, totally. And it's great to see that inspiration is still going on. I mean, with the resume that you have and all of the songs that you've written, that you're still finding that inspiration, like wanting to be able to learn new instruments, learn new tools and new toys to be able to play with. And,
Yeah.
not always, I mean, as great as synth sounds and patches can be, being able to get like that real authentic sound just helps so much. And just like you mentioned with Destroyer, it's like I was wondering if that was a patch or not, but now that you mentioned that you actually did it, it makes me love it even more.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's not any kind of crazy, ridiculous virtuoso playing. It's like I said, man, I got my hands on a couple of these instruments, and usually if it has strings, I can get a sound out of it. I can kind of make my way through. So yeah, a song like that where it's like, yeah, it could have been a synth. I could have just used something else, but it's like, you know what? What the hell? Let me try to do it in a couple days. Just got the basic idea down, and did a couple takes, and kind of sits in the track nice, and it's like, oh, that's cool. And then I got more toys down here, to play with. So it's cool. It always all works out.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, anything that keeps that inspiration going. I mean, sometimes the six strings seems perfect for the day. Other times it's like seven or eight. Sometimes it's switching completely and not playing guitar. Sometimes it's like going bass. Sometimes it's synth. It's just like it constantly changes. And when you do what you've done with both of War of the Worlds and just being able to write the songs and have so much input in what these are going to sound like, you have that inspiration there. And I gotta imagine with a mind like yours, that's got to be so much fun to have that creativity
Yeah,
going
it
through.
is. And it's funny, like it's funny you say that because like yeah, there'll be times, yeah, I mean, six string is great. And then on this record, like on that song Destroyer, it's like, well, what else can I do with the guitar? And it's like, oh, let me try seven string. And the guys at Comparison, the guitars I use, they were nice enough to send me seven string to check out. And I ended up using it on that song, and that was cool. And then yeah, then there'll be days where it's like, yeah, I'm trying to play cello a little bit. It's like, oh, let me take a couple days with this, and then come back to guitar. And so I mean, it's cool. I mean, I'm a music guy, so it doesn't matter what it is. Just try to have some fun with it, and always learning new stuff. I mean, and not just music too. I mean, it could be like software and different kind of synths and different kind of production ideas. All that. I'm always trying to learn. I think the more stuff you learn, the easier it is, and probably the faster it is to do what you're hearing in your head. It's like, oh, okay, I'm hearing this thing. It's like, okay, I know what to do to get to that result. So yeah, man, I'm like a sponge, man. I always just try to learn as much as I can.
Oh, it's a great way to be. But and so thinking about that as well too. I mean, obviously with learning new instrumentation on this album for Destroyer, for example. I mean, was there any other examples of things that you learned on this album that you put through?
I mean, there's always little things, There's always maybe some orchestration technique. I mean, with this record, I knew I wanted to have a lot of this, cinematic, um, film score kind of thing happening. And even that, and I'll go look at some classical stuff, or I'll look at some John Williams or Hans Zimmer even, or some of this stuff, and then you know maybe looking at the score for, say, Star Wars or something, and it's like, oh, he's doing this with the brass here and the string, and it's like, oh, I kind of like that, and let me borrow that idea and put it into my own thing. So there's always stuff. I mean, there's always stuff, to learn. Um, and yeah, even with the seven string, I never play seven string. I like never did. I don't know. Six string seems like quite enough for me. But I was like, all right, well, what the hell? I'll try it. And yeah, just like anything else, it's like I got it. I'm like, what fucking string am I on? Like, what note is that? It takes a second for your brain to, I mean, there's some guys, I mean, they're great on seven string because they're always playing the seven string. But for me, it was just like a new thing. And again, just like anything else, a couple days later, it's like, oh, okay, I'm kind of cool with this. I can handle this.
Oh, that and again, that's just so great to see that. And just everything that's really gone into this album as well too. I mean, with of course getting the guys on this album to be able to contribute their parts, the production just sounds so pristine. I
Mm.
love the album cover so much. It just fits so perfect with what the album represents, and it just really gives a great authentic feel about what you're about to experience when you look at it.
Yeah, no, I mean the art. My buddy Drake, um, with the first one, I mean it's kind of the same album cover, some tweaks. And I remember early on, I knew I was going to do War of the Worlds, and it was going to be kind of sci-fi, and there was going to be a lot of this cinematic stuff, and we were talking about like Giger or some kind of maybe like alien-like kind of thing, and it's a little on the dark side, and um, so a little back and forth with the art, and it's like, yeah, man, I mean, it's cool, it's kind of dark looking, but it has that otherworldly alien thing about it. And I think, like you said, it kind of like, yeah, I mean, the music is kind of that.
Oh, definitely. And you can hear those changes between part one and part two. And, just being able to see that with the album covers alone. I mean, it's so cool to see that.
Oh man, thanks, dude.
Oh, not a problem. And, with that as well, too, I mean, it's great to see the singles that have been released for the album so far. I mean, hearing Divide and Conquer for the first time release and just like hearing how that song is, I just found that to be such a perfect single. And I just loved being able to hear that. I mean, especially like I mentioned before, like with Dino's vocals, just hearing that chorus and what he's
Mm.
doing on there, of course, with your songwriting ability, it's a perfect matchup.
Yeah, I mean, and that was one of the songs like when I started all this, like with part one. I mean, I knew there was going to be a part two because back when I did part one, I had so much stuff and tried to go for doing it all and recording it all, and it was just too much. So I kind of cut it in half. I said, all right, let me concentrate on this group of songs, put these other ones aside, and and that was one of the ones. That was one of the original sessions of all that material. And I do remember like back then thinking it's like, oh man, that riff is really cool. Do I save it? Do I do it now? Do I do it later? And it was like, well, yeah, you don't want to put, everything you think is great on this one. You just want to break it up and make sure like, yeah, there's some heavy stuff on this one and some maybe more mellow or proggy stuff. And then part two's got to have the same kind of balance, maybe a little more orchestration on this one or something. Maybe this one has some more electronic stuff. Maybe this one, has the seven string. It's a little darker. But yeah, that was one of the ones early on. It was like, oh man, this is a cool riff, and the chorus is good, and like you said, Dino, he did great. Man, he sounds great on it.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, and just thinking about this album too, and of course, since the release of part one, I mean, the world has gone through a huge change since the
Mhm.
release of part one. And, just thinking about that, from like the outside view, like how have you been holding up since the release of part one to now? Like, how are you doing in the world that we currently live in?
Oh man, it's all fucked up, dude.
It is, isn't it?
It's all fucked up, man. It really is because the plan the plan was this. Um, I mean, we took a little time off. The band took a little time off 2016, 2017. I mean, Russ had the accident, and we kind of weren't sure what was happening, and so we just kind of took a little break. And so I was like, okay, I have some downtime. Let me, you know, keep busy. Let me work on a solo record. There's some things I wanted to do maybe wasn't right for the band. Like, it's about like some dubstep or more electronic and more guitar orchestral big sections. Um, so yeah, I did part one. Then the band into 2019, we're back to touring. It's like everything's working out good. Everything's great. Um, and then the beginning of 2020, I had a little bit of time. We were going to do a tour starting in the U.S. and I think it was April of 2020. So I was like, all right, right at the beginning of the year, I was like, oh, maybe I'll go back to this the part one stuff that was left over for part two. And I was like, I could probably bang this out before we go. I mean, a lot of the drums were done and a lot of the rhythm guitars and all that was done. Yeah, and then after that, then once the whole COVID thing, everything went off the rails because the tour was canceled and trying to get the record done and going back and forth with Simone in Italy. Simone Milleroni doing the, mixing and mastering. He's doing some reamping for me. His studio was locked down. He couldn't get there. And I mean, you know what it was like. Things were just a friggin' mess. So that whole thing got delayed. Tour got canceled and everything just kind of slowed down. I mean, I got the record done relatively quick, and it's been done for it's like about a year. Just kind of waiting to see and when's the time to release it and all that. So yeah, just the whole last 2 years, just it's like freaking the Twilight Zone. It's just so weird.
It really is. And I never thought we were going to be in this kind of situation. And, it's funny to think about too, because I remember like reading in the press release too. I mean, of course, obviously with the inspiration of War of the Worlds, like you also mentioned, it's like the world is fighting in and of itself too. So,
Mm,
it's just like you got all of this going on, you got the pandemic, you're not able to tour, you know, uh, other things going on with the album that are beyond your control, and of course the band as well too. I mean, like
yeah,
what's going to be going on with the future. I mean, I'm glad you were able to take what you could of it and like really being able to dial in this album, make sure it's going to sound the best that it could, because I love the final product here of part
yeah.
two, and
Thanks,
it's
man.
it's really got me excited to see what's going to be going on in the future. Hopefully, if things slowly start to come back to normal, like the band getting back to touring, the next release, all of that stuff. I mean, I'm hoping, things keep going that direction.
Nah, they have to. I mean, they have to. Um, and once I finished this thing, like I said, it was about a year ago. It was like, okay, I got that done. The canceled tours from 2020. I mean, and everybody, the same thing. It's like, oh, it got moved to 2021. All right, we'll be cool. Whatever. That sucks. It was a year. And then you're into 2021 and the same shit. And it's like, oh, man. So I think that too, like for us music guys, it's like, okay, you know, touring is most of the income now, and just doing band stuff. I've been talking to the guys and we've been talking about working on a new record and what are we going to do. And it is weird because like we haven't played in 2 years since the last thing up, doing band stuff, being on the bus and being fucking stupid and doing silly things, and you getting a response from the audience. And then, there's been times, we're working on a song and it's like, oh, live, this would be great. And I could see this, that, and all these things are going through your mind as you're working. So now it's like I'm coming down here and, I was talking to Russ and LaPon the other day, and I'm like, man, I'm just slow because it just feels like it's been so long since the band's been doing band things. So yeah, I mean, we are working on it, and it's taken me a minute to, and I think all the guys, it's like, oh man, not sure what we're gonna do, and oh man, is this tour gonna happen, and what's going on in Europe, and there's just still so many questions and uncertainty, and it's hard to like be inspired, be really motivated. I mean, we still love what we do, but at the same time, when you look at all the stuff, it's like, oh man, I hope everything goes smooth. I hope that this tour goes off okay, and eventually everywhere else kind of gets things under control, or at least a plan, some kind of plan where it's like, all right, well, we have to live with this thing. What can we do to make everything work?
Yeah, and again, it's just like I'm so happy that part two is seeing the light of day and it is coming out. Because just with everything that's been going on in the world, there's been so many setbacks. Albums from other bands and artists that were pushed back. I know a lot of albums are getting pushed back this year because they're not able to make physical releases for either
Yeah,
CDs or vinyl. So there's so many things that just keep pushing everyone back, and I just want to be able to from the fan aspect, I want to be able to see you guys coming up in a few months in Minnesota and see that anniversary tour. I mean, that sounds so perfect. And just
yeah,
being able to celebrate you guys. And I hope that it can happen. I hope we can get to that point. And, obviously, when you mentioned yourself, just like it's hard to get that inspiration, and it's so easy to understand that as well, too, because no matter how inspired you can be, the outside world can really take that apart from you. And
yeah.
I experienced that myself too. I mean, it's just like it's hard to be inspired by things when you just see so many bad things going on.
Yeah, I know, dude. And especially, musician guys, it's like, you know, it's just tough, financially, the touring is like we were saying, it's like that's a big part of your income. And when that goes away, it's like, oh shit, now what the fuck we gonna do? It's like, okay, well, work on a record, but just not doing band things. And I talked to a lot of my buddies in different bands, and I think we're all kind of feeling the same thing. It's like, man, I'm trying to write. I just can't, it's taking me a long time. And it's like, oh, yeah, I feel the same way. I'm like having trouble. I'm not motivated. I don't know what's going to go on, if we're going to go to here or there. And it's like, yeah, man, it is, like you said, a lot of releases delayed and tours canceled and moved and all this and that. So it's hard to like try to have a normal life and be like, okay, here's the schedule. Here's what we're going to do. Everything's going to be great. Like right now, it's just it's a mess.
Oh, definitely. But just like you said too, it's got to be getting back to normal at some point. And I just got to imagine how great it's going to be feeling the first time you're able to get back on stage. You hear the intro
It's
tape
going to be
rolling, and you're
weird,
able to get into
man.
the first one.
It's going to be
Yeah.
weird, dude. It's going to be like, didn't I do this before? It's going to be it's going to be a little I mean, it's going to be awesome. I mean, I can't wait. And I think the tour here, I think we'll be okay. Like things are looking a little better here, seeing more things opening up and all this kind of stuff. So I think we'll be all right. I think this tour, I mean, a couple of my other buddies, their bands, they're kind of starting to tour now, and things are seem to be okay.
Yeah, and I mean that's absolutely what I'm hoping for like music worldwide, let alone what's going on with you guys and being able to finally get this anniversary tour and being able to celebrate a amazing band that's been a huge part of my life with Symphony
Mm.
X. And
Thanks, man.
every time I've been able to see you guys, you always put on an incredible show. And just hoping everything continues forward in a couple months where the tour is able to happen. I'm able to be there in Minnesota and just being able to hear some of my favorite Symphony X songs again. And until then, I got a great album to be able to check out with War of the Worlds Part Two. I'm able to promote it. I'm able to talk to you for the first time, and just being able to uh, just be able to have like a great conversation with you,
Yeah, man.
whether
We're
we can't
just
do it in person. I'm glad that we were able to have this opportunity to just like talk music, talk production, songwriting, state of the world. This has been an
mm,
amazing time, and I really thank you for it.
no, man, dude, I appreciate it. Yeah, we're just talking. We're just talking about stuff, and yeah, yeah, the world and things are all crazy, but eventually, I think everything's gonna level out. And all the bands will get back to touring and back in the studio and back to writing. And yeah, man, there might be some bumps in the road, another variant or something. I mean, shit's gonna happen. But I just think if we have some kind of plan and just to get music guys back, back on point. Because I know it's not just me. It's like I said, a lot of guys I talk to, any genre, I'm sure it's like, yeah, man, this kind of taking its toll creatively with everybody. So I think once things start to chill out, open up, and bands are playing and doing band things, it's like, okay, kind of feeling normal again.
Oh, totally. And whether you've already started ideas for the next album,
Oh
or,
yeah.
whether, you're waiting for that inspiration to hit, I imagine that first riff that you write once that inspiration comes back, I feel like everything will just come back to normal for you, where you just hit that first riff and then everything will come back into place.
Yeah, man, it's gonna take a minute. I still haven't found that riff. I mean, I got stuff, and I've been working every day trying to come up with things, and um, yeah, it's just like slower. It's just kind of slower than normal, and I think it's just because of just all the shit going on. It's hard to focus, and um, eh, it'll be fine though. I mean, there'll be that day I come down here, and it's like all of a sudden this thing, and it's like, oh shit, this is it. Here's the riff. Here's the whole idea, and then it's like, then I can't stop. Then it's just like, the train's going. But
Oh,
it's just
definitely.
it's taking me a little longer to get there than normal because usually it's like, yeah, we'll talk about a record, I'll have some ideas, and we'll start bouncing ideas around. And now it's just like a lot of like, oh, I'm not really sure, and I got this thing, and it's not, I don't totally love it. It's good. Let me try something else tomorrow. And yeah, there'll be that one day when everything just clicks, and it's like, oh shit, yeah, here we go, we're good.
Oh, definitely. And that'll be a great day. Well, awesome. Well, I got to thank you again so much for taking this time to be able to talk to me. I know you got a busy press week ahead of you, being able to talk about War of the Worlds Part 2 coming out March 25th or at
Mm.
Inside Out Music. I absolutely appreciate you taking the time to be able to do this. I could probably go another 4 hours just
Oh
being
yeah,
able to go
dude.
back and forth with you. And, hopefully with the next Symphony X album, any other releases that you got, or even on tour, just being able to talk again. I just love this so much. And I've had a great time talking to you.
No, me too, dude. Yeah, I mean, shit. I could talk for freaking forever. If we're talking music, I mean, shit, we can talk for a long time.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
but it's all good. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. I'll let you continue on with the press day. And once again, thank you very much for taking time to do this. Can't wait to show off this interview. And yeah, this is an interview I've wanted to do since I started being able to promote music. And I'm so happy to be able to do this. And yeah, I just thank you for your time. And I hope you have a great rest of the day.
No, man. Thank you, dude. Yep. Same to you, man. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Bye bye.
And we'll see you soon.
Yeah, hopefully see you in Minnesota.
We're gonna friggin' be there no matter what.
Oh, awesome. I'll be there. All right.
All right.